Hello everybody, welcome back to the Macbat 64 80% tutorial for Nintendo Switch. So next is level 5 or Bright Islands. It's one of the more technical stages in the game in terms of platforming. It does have a pretty difficult trick at the end as well that we're going to go over a bit. And the last real thing to say about it is the fact that it's a unique stage in that it's a 2.5D platforming level, sort of like Kirby 64. So again, open the book, hold right, 1, 2, 3, 4, mash jump, hold the jump button and right, fly over this little obstacle here. You can get stuck on it, obviously. Try not to do that like so. Try to just start flying soon enough so you can just go straight over it and lose no time. The goal of this stage is to bring 5 fruits back to this tree. Good old Wispy Woods, palette swap more or less. His fruits are scattered throughout the level. Fruit number 1 is right here. As soon as you touch the fruit, start flapping, and I mean spam it. That's going to line you up directly for that there. Afterwards, you're going to want to hit this ball right on the top and bounce up. The way I like to do it is flap 3 times after bouncing off of this ball down here. So spam flap, 1, 2, 3, and then up and around. Now if you hold the jump button while bouncing off one of those, you'll go a little higher. It'll make it a little easier. Ideally, though, you get no flaps bouncing up to that higher ball. Let me show you again. Flap, 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 flap. Bounce, bounce. Like so. Let's do it again and even better. Flap, 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 flap. Flap, flap, flap. Bounce. And we missed. If that happens, you can obviously recover it by flapping up and around. And if you want to land on the thing sooner, you could hold A to fall faster again. Let's take a look at it, though, with no obvious mistakes. Like so. I did go a little far to the left. Another strategy, and this is the strategy the world record uses, I don't really necessarily recommend it, is they fly straight up to the last ball. It's very tricky, and it's honestly not that much faster. Again, very tricky and not that much faster. So we're not going to bother. The recommended route is fly into this, flap a couple times to there, bounce up. After you grab the fruit out of the air here, we're going to fly straight to the right. Kind of keep a nice, a even level until you see this thing here. We're going to go down into this. So as you see this, you want to be lowering so that we're closer and further down into it. So our goal here is to get to the bottom where there's a fruit. Falling into the bottom of this can be somewhat tricky. One way about it is to fall right into the edge. Like so, and grab the fruit. But there is a sweet spot that you can aim for right in the middle to also fall down. It's a little tricky. And you can also save it by adjusting your position left and right a little. Let's take a look, though. It's about right here. Like so. Grab the fruit. Coming out, there's a couple different ways about it. One way is to bounce here. Or is to bounce off of this one while holding the jump button. And then just go around like so. Another completely viable strat is to just barely nick the edge of this one, so that you can bounce into that other one. I've always found this strat to be somewhat difficult. Another way is to come along the back wall and try and bounce off of them. Either way you slice it, this particular section here is worthy of some practice. It's not exactly the most straightforward thing in a lot of cases, because you'll end up getting stuck on the ball like I just did. I usually try to bounce off the first one. Oops. I usually try to bounce off the first one down there into the wall. And then go around the other one to the right, like so. From here, fly to the right, land on this log. Notice we get a very, very small horizontal boost if you hold the A button while coming off of ledges. So we're going to abuse that here. Just walk to the right and hold A, like so. Start flying about here. You want to get on this side of the ball and knock it off the stump. We're going to push it into this hole. When you get it about here, start to fly. The apple, fruit, whatever, will spawn pretty much like here-ish. And once you get the ball about here, you can just start flying and grab it as soon as it spawns. Next, we have probably one of the other more difficult tricks in the game, in my opinion. What I like to call tree skip. And even though it doesn't really skip a tree. You could also maybe call it blimp skip. Whatever. Anyway, on the other side over here, you can see a blimp. You also see our last fruit on top of the blimp. As soon as we get to this blimp, it's going to immediately start to fly upwards to avoid us. There's kind of a series of these little bouncy balls that we followed up into the air with. Doesn't take too long, but it does take some time. So there is a way to skip doing all of this, and it's kind of tricky. You want to come into this ball here, and you want to bounce off of it with a good jump press, and get a very good height boost, like so. You want to come into this ball and bounce off of it. If you bounce off of it, you'll get stuck on the blimp as it continues up. Otherwise, you'll have to do this small bouncy ball puzzle. When you get on this pad here, it'll warp you straight to the tree. Like so. From here, hold left, and you'll finish the stage. Let's take a look at the whole stage at once, though, and talk about some of the particulars and see if we can get the good skip. So again, this is a very technical stage. Definitely worthy of practice in terms of the stages. So hold jump and right. Fly over the barrier. Down. Flat, 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 flat. Flat, flat, flat. Bounce, bounce. Fly to the right. Try to hit the sweet spot. We missed. It's okay. Fly into this. Go around. Did it a little differently than I normally do, but it is what it is. Again, slope boost down off those. Into the ball. Ball down. Let's push the ball into the hole. Start to fly here towards the middle. Right into the fruit. Try to have enough flaps to get over this from grabbing the fruit. It can be a little tricky. Okay, so we got it that time. So it's it's a little difficult to explain while it's happening. So essentially, as long as you hit that far bouncy thing, you will get stuck on the blimp. After you notice that you've hit the bouncy thing, stop mashing flap and just hold right. You'll immediately walk into the portal that takes you straight to this tree, and you can end the stage. It's a fairly tricky time save to implement, but definitely not impossible and worth practicing.